Different game at Anfield time to go for Slot. Shameful tactics exposed. This is a club worried. This is the work of the manager. Luis Enrique speaks out. Welcome back to LFC Echo Daily, your home of the latest Liverpool news, drama and updates. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, follow the channel and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Dominik Szoboszlai anticipates completely different Liverpool versus PSG second leg. Dominik Szoboszlai has promised Paris Saint-Germain will face a completely different test in the second leg against Liverpool next week and is hoping to be part of another famous night at Anfield. The Reds have it all to do if they're to rescue their Champions League quarter-final following a 2-0 defeat in the French capital on Wednesday. Goals from Desire Doué and Ibrahima Konaté have put the defending European champions in control of the tie ahead of next week's return leg on Merseyside. It could have been more for PSG, with Luis Enrique's side having outclassed the visitors throughout the first leg. But some poor finishing means Liverpool still has a glimmer of hope before next week's deciding encounter. And despite another defeat, Szoboszlai chose to remain positive ahead of that encounter. It was very tough. We faced a very good team, but there is 90 minutes still, and we're still believing, Szoboszlai told beIN Sports as he reflected on the first leg. I guess from everybody, the whole stadium, the fans, but most importantly the team, and from the manager, so we have to keep on going and give everything in the last 90 minutes. Of course we conceded a goal, an unlucky goal, and another day we lost 2-0. It wasn't enough what we have done, so we have to prepare ourselves for Fulham now, because it's also a very important game, and then look forward to the game on Tuesday. When it was put to him that Liverpool scoring first next week could change the tie, Szoboszlai responded, "Oh yeah, of course, but they're going to be a completely different plan, I think. A different team, stadium, atmosphere. What's going to be with us? So we're not going to be only 11 players, we're going to be the whole stadium, and I can't really wait for it, because these nights at Anfield are always special. The guys who have been here a long time, they've shown they can turn it around, games like that, and I want to be part of them. We will be ready, that's for sure." In another news time to go for Arne Slot, as McManaman questions lightweight Liverpool forwards. Fans have called for Arne Slot to be sacked after Liverpool were beaten 2-0 in the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final clash with Paris Saint-Germain, while Steve McManaman called out the Red strikers. Desire Doué opened the scoring for PSG in just the 11th minute when his deflected strike looped over stand-in Liverpool goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili. The Georgian shot-stopper did well to deny Doué a second in the 37th minute, while Ousmane Dembélé missed a fantastic opportunity after the interval. Ibrahima Konaté doubled PSG's lead in the 65th minute, running in behind Ryan Gravenberch and showing superb composure to breeze past Joe Gomez and Mamardashvili before finishing with ease. PSG had a penalty overturned by VAR, while Dembélé saw a late strike cannon back off the post. The result means Liverpool have lost their last 3 games in all competitions, conceding 8 goals. They were dumped out of the FA Cup by Manchester City and are at serious risk of being knocked out of the Champions League too. Slot's decision to select a back 5 was bizarre, given he has only ever used such a formation once before at Liverpool. Trialling a system change against one of the best, most attacking sides in the world is hardly the way to go. One supporter said on BBC Sport, "Proper Liverpool fans have been fully behind the manager with some terrible teams. What makes this different is this Slot team are playing some of the worst football we've seen, with some of the best players we've seen. I'm afraid it's time for him to go." A second added, "With Klopp you knew the lineup before the team sheet was revealed. With Slot you don't even know the formation. Every week he is doing something different and hopes it works." Another fan wrote on social media, "Arne Slot isn't an elite coach, well out of his depth. I hope he's gone by the summer, or next season will be painful. It looks like Arne Slot has fielded a team not to win the game but to save his job, based on the team selection," another wrote. Living Liverpool wrote, "Imagine our players tonight in the dressing room, looking at Arne Slot, telling them to play a formation that they have never trained in their lives." McManaman said on TNT Sports, "Weirdly enough, PSG weren't ruthless enough tonight. The chances they missed. Marquinhos had easiest game of season. Liverpool had Alisson to the rescue last year. If anything, it was PSG not putting Liverpool to the sword today. I thought Liverpool were very lightweight up top, flicking the ball, not getting hold of possession, not being ruthless enough, not taking shots on. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. 2-0, we've seen it happen before, but it's going to be difficult to turn this around against this team. 70% possession. Marquinhos, the captain, has had the easiest game of the season. He's hardly done anything today. He's cruised through it." In other news, shameful Arne Slot tactics, a sackable offence, as Liverpool boss explains bizarre reason for Salah snub Arne Slot's tactics during Liverpool's 2-0 Champions League defeat to PSG on Wednesday evening have been branded shameful and a sackable offence. while the Reds boss has explained his bizarre reasoning for dropping Mohamed Salah to the bench for the club's biggest game of the season. Slot chose Liverpool's most important contest of the campaign to match up with the reigning champions and play a back three, reported to be the first time the Anfield outfit have used the formation in either a Champions League or Premier League game since a 5-1 away win over Brighton in December 2017. The defeat was also the third time Liverpool have lost 3 consecutive matches in all competitions this term, while Slot's men failed to register an attempt on target in a Champions League game for the first time since way back in November 2020. And speaking on the sports bar, Talk Sport pundits Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara went to town on Slot and his tactics for the game. Cundy said, "That was shameful football, waiting to get beaten. That was absolutely pathetic. If I were a Liverpool fan watching that, right, they are European royalty. That was an absolute disgrace. I cannot believe what I've seen. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be embarrassed of that. They are a brilliant side, but at least we put in some sort of fight in that first game. That was shameful. And somehow Liverpool have got out. They're still alive. They should be dead and buried, and they're not. If I were Luis Enrique, I'd be furious. Slot's lucky. If I'm Slot, I'm going home thinking, wow, how have we got out of that one?" After saying Slot playing 5 at the back was a sackable offence, O'Hara then continued, "It's embarrassing. You turn up and play 5 at the back, trying to nick a draw against PSG. You go 1-0 down. You go, you know what, half-time, let's go back, let's go after these, let's try and have a go. He's just waiting to get beat. You know what, you're right in a way, Jason. He kind of gets lucky." Slot explains brutal Salah snub. Meanwhile, Slot believes it was better for Mohamed Salah to save his energy after he was left on the bench for the defeat in Paris. With Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez operating as wingbacks in the back 5, Salah was named as a substitute. When asked about his decision to keep Salah on the bench against PSG, Slot said, "I think in the last part of the game it was more about surviving for us than there was ever a chance that we could score. Yeah, you never know, because last season we scored 5 minutes before the end, Harvey Elliott, when I took Mo off, but I think this was 25th minutes where we were only defending. And Mo has so much quality, but for Mo to be 25 minutes defending inside his own box, I think it's better for him to save his energy for a lot of games that are coming up in the upcoming weeks." Salah was spotted doing extra running on the pitch at the Parc des Princes following the loss and was praised by former England defender Stuart Pearce, who was covering the game for TalkSport. "I'm also watching down here Mo Salah doing his running as well," Pearce said. "He's at the front of the running and sometimes this gets unnoticed. People say, oh, his attitude stunk when he come off. He done this, he done that. If ever there's a time where a player's attitude is going to stink, it's Mo Salah with 6 or 7 games to go on his Liverpool career not being brought on when they need a goal. He's got every opportunity for his attitude to stink, and he's out there doing the running with the team, the box-to-box work that they do after games. So you've got to commend him for that. I know it's his job, I understand that." In another news, this is a club worried. National media react to outclassed Liverpool's loss to PSG. How the national media reacted to Liverpool's 2-0 loss in their Champions League quarter-final first-leg tie at Paris Saint-Germain. Liverpool's hopes of reaching the semi-finals of the Champions League were dealt a huge blow as Paris Saint-Germain won the first leg 2-0 at Parc des Princes on Wednesday night. Goals from Desire Du and Kavicha Kvaratskhelia did the damage for Arne Slot's side, who suffered their 16th defeat of the campaign. The Echo was in the French capital to run the rule over proceedings, and you can read our match verdict, player ratings, post-game analysis, and the reactions of Liverpool head coach Slot and his PSG counterpart, Luis Enrique, on our pages now. Our colleagues from the national media were also on hand to give their own considered take, and here's what they made of it as the Reds were beaten in Paris. In the Daily Mail, Oliver Holt writes, "Before the game, the home fans in the La Tribune Auto behind one of the goals unveiled a giant banner that depicted the Incredible Hulk dressed in the colours of PSG. Ferocious and grim, he was holding a Liverpool crest in his hands, tearing it asunder. It was a picture that spoke 1,000 words, because this is a Liverpool divided. This is a Liverpool weakened by internal strife and tortured by the growing antipathy of the fan base towards manager Arne Slot and his beleaguered players. This is a club worried the schism is growing between fans and players, that frets about Hugo Ekitike swapping shirts with Ryan Cherki during their dismantling by Manchester City at the weekend. Fans and ex-players horrified by Virgil van Dijk's suggestion that some of the players gave up during that game, angry that Dominik Szoboszlai should complain about the fans' lack of support, and fans complaining that the players do not even want to live on Merseyside. The institution that is Liverpool is creaking and groaning, and PSG are not the team to play when life is hard. In this Champions League quarter-final first leg, PSG grabbed at those fraying seams and ripped them apart. Over on The Independent, Richard Jolly writes, "The good news for Liverpool is that they do not require their greatest Anfield comeback in Europe. But if that tag will forever be reserved for Barcelona in 2019, it may need their second best to eliminate Paris Saint-Germain. a night when Arne Slot abandoned the basis of his system and, some would say, his principles in favour of pragmatism brought a damage limitation exercise that might be bracketed as a qualified success, because Liverpool walloped 4-0 at Manchester City on Saturday, only lost 2-0 to the European champions. Liverpool looked outclassed. They're not quite out of this tie. It might have been worse, whether with a repeat of their failings at the Etihad Stadium or without the excellence of Georgi Mamardashvili. When Liverpool were a goal down after 11 minutes with a different shape and precious little possession, it threatened to be another rout. Instead, there was an exercise in concentration and improvised organisation. On the Times pages, Paul Joyce pens, "For those Liverpool supporters always looking for a reason to believe, perhaps there was an omen in the sight of Ousmane Dembele, aghast at spurning a glaring opportunity." The Frenchman curled up in a ball, burying his head in his hands, having cleared the crossbar with one attempt early in the second half on Wednesday evening. It had of course been a similar story 7 years ago. Back then, a cut back from the left-hand side of the area was also played to Dembele's left foot as he lurked by the penalty spot. He would succeed only in scuffing his kick, and an effort rolled apologetically into the arms of the Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson. On that occasion, it was Lionel Messi who reacted by lying in an anguished heap on the turf, his intuition that Barcelona would rue not having plundered another goal, proving to be correct the following week at a baying Anfield. But that was then and this is now. Mike McGrath of The Telegraph writes, "There was no sign of the white flag being waved, yet Liverpool had no answer to the attacking football in front of them here in Paris, embodied by Khvicha Kvaratskhelia wonder goal. He danced around opponents in the style of George Best before scoring and effectively sealing this tie. Liverpool have produced some of the greatest comebacks in Champions League history, and it will take another to turn this around next week. They failed to lay a glove on the European champions, who could have added to the scoreline just like Manchester City at the weekend, when Virgil van Dijk admitted some players had given up. Arne Slot's players could not be accused of that at Parc des Princes, but their body language raised the question, how can they score a goal against this PSG team? The reality is their season is now going to rest on whether they finish in the Premier League top 5 and be among Europe's elite next season. This current team are playing like Thursday nights in the Europa League are on the horizon. And in the A-show's verdict, Budapest has never felt so far away for Liverpool. And while Arne Slot and his players will attempt to say all the right things after this quarter-final defeat by Paris Saint-Germain, dreams of a 7th European Cup will surely be placed on hold at Anfield now. The real question is for how long? Attention quickly turns to the arduous slog that is their Premier League campaign, where they host Fulham on Saturday evening, and while they presently occupy the 5th and final qualification spot, they may yet stumble into the promised land simply by being slightly less ordinary than rivals Chelsea. It seems oddly fitting. A 2-0 defeat here may leave enough room for Slot and his squad to talk up their ability to force the type of European comeback for which Liverpool are famous for at home next week. But this is not a group of players who, deep down, will genuinely believe it can be achieved. Chins are on the floor, shoulders are hunched, and confidence on the back of successive defeats to Manchester City and PSG, where 6 goals were shipped without reply, is now perhaps at an all-time low. In another news, Ibrahima Konaté wants drastic Premier League change after Liverpool loses to PSG. Liverpool defender Ibrahima Konaté believes the Premier League should take the same stance as League One when it comes to helping out its teams playing in the Champions League. Ibrahima Konaté wants to see the Premier League take the same approach as League One after Paris Saint-Germain was handed a big advantage ahead of the return leg against Liverpool in the Champions League. As was the case in the previous round, when PSG knocked out Chelsea, the French side will not have to play a league game in between the 2 matches in Europe. Its potential title decider against Lens has been postponed to give Luis Enrique's stars more rest and preparation time. And with PSG already having established a 2-goal lead thanks to strikes from Desire Du and Khvicha Kvaratskhelia at the Parc des Princes, it is the heavy favourite to progress against the Reds. Konate believes the Premier League could take a leaf out of League One's book and help its teams with fixture congestion, though that would create a scheduling nightmare. I think this is 2 times in a row because last season it was the same, Konate told Stan Sport. I wish we had the same thing, but it's completely different. In a way, I'm happy for them because it is good for them and the league helped them to reach something in the Champions League. I'm hoping the Premier League are doing to do the same in the future, or why not this season for the teams who play in the Champions League as well. After struggling to compete with PSG in the first leg of the tie, Konate remains hopeful that a comeback will be possible next week. I'm always happy to come back to Paris because this is my city and I love to be here, but with the result of tonight, for sure I am not happy, Konate said. I know we have another game at Anfield and that is our home. Anything can happen there and we have to make sure, first of all, to be ready for the game on Saturday against Fulham. After, we are going to think more about the bad game against PSG. It's like last season, I think PSG is one of the best teams in the world, and they show it again today. It was tough for us to find a solution to shoot or to find the target, but this is the work of the manager now to see what we can improve and what we can change for the game at home. We will see. In another news, this is the work of the manager, Ibrahima Konaté's Arne Slot message. After PSG beat Liverpool, Ibrahima Konaté has given his thoughts on Liverpool's Champions League quarter-final first-leg defeat to Paris Saint-Germain ahead of next week's crucial return to Anfield. Liverpool were beaten 2-0 at the Parc des Princes on Wednesday night, with Desire Doué and Kavicha Kvaratskhelia scoring in either half. The defeat will only heighten the pressure on Reds boss Arne Slot, who has faced criticism throughout a turbulent campaign, with the Premier League champions now winning just 2 of their last 8 games in all competitions. Slot made a decision to switch to 3 centre-backs, effectively leaving Liverpool with 5 defenders and often a 6th when Ryan Gravenberch or Alexis Mac Allister dropped in. Konate now believes that Slot will be looking at where the Reds can improve. Speaking afterwards, he admitted, "What do I think of the result tonight? For sure I'm not happy. I know we have another game at Anfield, it's our home. Anything can happen there, and we have to make sure we are ready for the game on Saturday." After, we're going to think more about that game against PSG. I think PSG, like last season, are one of the best teams in the world. They show it again today. It was tough for us to find a solution, to find the target. But this is the work of the manager now, to see what we can improve, what we can change for the game at home, and we will see. The France international also urged the Premier League to offer greater support to clubs competing in the Champions League, noting that PSG had their League One fixture against Lens postponed ahead of their European tie. I think this has happened 2 times in a row because last season it was the same, Konate added. I wish we had the same thing in the Premier League, but it's completely different. In a way, I'm happy for them because it's good for them, and I think the league helps them to reach something in the Champions League. I'm hoping the Premier League will do the same in the future, or why not this season for the teams who play in the Champions League as well, you know? The second leg takes place next Tuesday, when the Reds will hope to overturn the deficit, and Mohamed Salah, who remained on the bench in Paris, will be aiming to play a part. The Champions League represents Liverpool's only chance of silverware this season after their 4-0 FA Cup quarter-final defeat to Manchester City at the weekend. Their Premier League campaign has also faltered, with the Reds unable to build on Slot's outstanding maiden season in which they lifted the league title. In another news, Luis Enrique tells PSG stars to accept Liverpool's situation as frustration voiced Paris Saint-Germain knows that it still has work to do against Liverpool in the Champions League, despite Luis Enrique's men taking a commanding 2-goal lead in the first leg at the Parc des Princes. Goals from Desire Doué and Kavicha Kvaratskhelia were enough to earn a positive result for PSG on home soil, but a host of missed chances, including an especially big one from Ousmane Dembélé, meant that the scoreline was not more severe for Liverpool. Instead of being completely out of contention, Arne Slot's men have a glimmer of hope that a comeback could be possible, though it will have to put in its best performance of the season to date to pull off the spectacular. We're satisfied with the win, but I'd say there's a bit of frustration because we had clear chances we could have taken. Midfielder Warren Zaïre-Emery said, "We know it will be tough at Anfield. We won this first battle, but there will be a second one that will be very difficult. We'll go there with our intentions to play high up the pitch in their half and apply our pressing game. I think we had clear chances to score more goals." Achraf Hakimi added, "We left Liverpool in the game for the second leg, but we're happy with the performance and hope to continue like this." Head coach Enrique was of a similar mindset, insisting that his side will continue where it left off when the return leg at Anfield kicks off in a bid to book a place in the Final Four. "I think it is a pity because we deserved a little bit more," the PSG boss explained. "We created clear chances and we could have scored more, especially in the second half. But that is football. It is normal. You have to accept that. We are trying to recover as soon as possible and trying to focus on the next match in Anfield. We are going to prepare for that match in the best way, but we are going to suffer at Anfield because that is also special. We are looking forward to playing that match." Last season, Liverpool won 1-0 in the away leg against PSG before losing by the same scoreline at home. It then went out on penalties, with Darwin Núñez and Curtis Jones missing in the shootout. Thanks for watching LFC Echo Daily. Do you think Liverpool can turn it around at Anfield, or is the damage already done? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more daily Liverpool updates.